of Commissioners, would all those who are willing and able please rise and join in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of our country. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Grant us, O Lord, light to our understanding, prudence in our investigating, foresight in our planning, sincerity in our deliberating, the grace to follow truth in our judgment. Help us to be moved in our decision, neither by fear nor by self-interest, and to do our work faithfully. May we respect the authority vested in us, for thou art the source of all authority, and may we use our directives for the common good, and for thy honor and glory. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you all. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Present.
Commissioner Regovich.
Here.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Here. Okay, coming to our first public comment portion, we have a very nice certificate for Carol Ann Greer. I must say, I did not know her personally, but I knew of her. And when Ellen Foley Kessler brought this to my attention, that of her passing and all the influence, positive influence that she offered, it was words escape me. She's you can in law enforcement we say you can tell a lot about a family by looking at the kids. Well, you can tell a lot about a teacher by looking at the kids, and boy did they love her. But if I may take the liberty, we have a certificate of recognition for Carol Ann Greer. Whereas the Board of Lake County Commissioner joins the community in celebrating the life of Carol Ann Greer. And whereas Carol was a beloved wife, mother, and teacher whose career was dedicated to her love of early childhood education. She provided her students a safe environment where they could learn and thrive. Carol touched many lives with her positive energy. She referred to her students as her kids to show them how much she truly cared about them. The Lake County YMCA has dedicated a room, Carol's Corner, which provides books for young children with small chairs and couches for children to sit in and read. Now, therefore, we, the Board of Lake County Commissioners, honor the life of Carol Ann Greer and celebrate her legacy as a beloved teacher. I believe we have some family members and friends in the audience. You folks want to kind of come on up and share some of this time with us? Thank you. Right there, you get the microphone. There you go. Good morning.
Morning. Morning, and thank you. I'm Richard Greer, Carol's husband of 35 years, and she is going to be missed. She is the greatest person that I could have hoped to have encountered. We had a wonderful time. My daughter Libby is here today with us, and also Abby was one of the teachers at her last stop at Buckeye School here in Lake County. She touched many lives, and she leaves behind a lot of great memories for us and for the kids. She, as you said, she referred to them as her kids when she would talk to me every day after class, and it was always a pleasure to see how much enjoyment she took from teaching, and it was what she just wanted to do with her life, and I'm glad she was able to do it. Thank you very much for this honor.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing her with us. Thank you. Truly a legacy.
Yes, truly, she is the best.
They're being
Ellen?
shy.
I was going to say, they're being shy.
Commissioner Regovich, Commissioner Hammercheck, Commissioner Plechnik. Tomorrow is Carol's birthday. What a gift you are giving to her family, to her fellow teachers, and especially her kids. Carol was a rare gift. Whether you met Carol for 1 minute, 80 minutes, or knew her your whole life, you'd walk away feeling good, and you'd walk away saying there's something special about her. You may not even know her name, but it was Carol Greer. Her family, and Libby, you are her mother. We'll miss her tremendously. But her legacy lives on. I've been with Carol. When kids will just walk by, "Hi, Mrs. Greer," and she'll always say, "Those are my kids." For those that don't know what happened to Libby, she was a totally dedicated teacher. She and Richard were painting her classroom so that her kids would have a bright spot to come to. She turned a corner going out and hit, as you know, the concrete blocks. Carol was severely injured, and she died from those injuries. But a few days before she died, she said to me, "I'm going to be back in my classroom. My kids need me." And there's a difference, and Professor Plechnik, you would realize this. A teacher is someone that has a certificate, and the state says, "You've passed." An educator comes from the heart. Carol Greer had the heart. And so for her birthday, we all want to say thank you, especially to our commissioners, but her kids that stand all over the county and in Cleveland, because Carol taught children that never could have someone stand up and fight for them. I witnessed it myself. I was going to the Cleveland Clinic. I see all these beautiful children walking, and all of a sudden I see, that's Carol Greer. And she said, "No one will come here to teach these children to read." Carol did. So I could go on, and I won't. You have business to do. But for her birthday, thank you so very much for remembering a woman, a teacher, a mother, and a grandmother. And her son, Dr. Greer, is not here today. He's an orthopedic surgeon doing what he does best, but he's watching online. So from Richard, Libby, and Dr. Greer, thank you. And from the community, from our hearts as the educator, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If we may, please, we'll come down and join you.
Okay.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm so sorry for your loss. Now, teacher always was on their students. Their first students are their children. It's like when other students become the children. I know you understand. God bless you for what you keep doing.
Thank you again, folks. Okay, well, we are still in our first public comment portion of our meeting. Is there anyone wishing to address the board at this time? Anyone wishing to address the board at this time? Okay, thank you. All right, moving on to resolutions. Our first resolution, Madam Clerk.
In special resolutions, resolution proclaiming April 28, 2023 as Workers' Memorial Day in Lake County, Ohio.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion. Let's see, we do have, if I could just read this one here. This one's a resolution proclaiming April 28, 2023 as Workers' Memorial Day in Lake County. Whereas Workers' Memorial Day is held each year on April 28th to mourn workers killed and injured on the job. It is also the day we rededicate ourselves to the fight to make our workplaces safer. And whereas private industry employees reported 2.6 million non-fatal workplace injuries and illnesses, and close to 880,000 injuries and illnesses cases were reported among state and local government workers. Work injuries involving transportation incidents were most common fatal events in 2021, accounting for over 38.2% of deaths. And whereas the push for production and influx of new workers and older workers, more experienced workers retired, reduced staffing levels, the growing use of some contracting and outsourcing, mandatory overtime, and changes in technology and the workplace processes all threaten workers' safety and health. The COVID-19 pandemic exposed these hard truths and highlighted severe weaknesses in worker protection and health and safety rights afforded under the Occupational Safety and Health Act of 1970. And whereas concerned Americans are determined to prevent these tragedies, all employers, including local governments, are urged to dedicate their efforts to improving workplace safety, seek stronger health standard enforcement, and to treating workers with dignity as we all pursue constant improvement in the workplace. Now, therefore, the Board of Lake County Commissioners here in Fort Lake County hereby proclaims April 28, 2023 as Workers' Memorial Day in Lake County. The board encourages all citizens to remember that millions of American workers struggle to support their families, too often being injured or killed. It is time to stand up and fight to make safe jobs a reality for all. So, do we have anyone from OSHA wishing to address? Hello, sir. Welcome. Please, right there, sir. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much. On behalf of Kayla Flowers, my compliance officer, and Bill Donovan, our regional administrator in Chicago, I want to thank Lake County for supporting Workers' Memorial Day. April 28th recognizes in 1971 when the OSHA Act first started and we started enforcing workplace safety and health regulations. Back then, 38 people every day went to work and didn't come home. So an average of 38 people died on the job every day back in 1971. Now we've reduced it through cooperative efforts with you guys and companies and unions that are supporting workplace safety. It's down to 14, but it's still 14 people every day die on the job. So we have to be vigilant. And April 28th, we take the time to remember those that have lost their lives on the job, but also to refocus our efforts on safety and health. So I want to thank you all in the Lake County for supporting safety and health in the workplace. Thank you very much.
Much appreciated. Here at Lake County, we do take that very seriously. Make sure that our workers, they come in, but we also take pride in they go home. They go home safe. And if they are injured, we do take care of them. That's very important. I know that's near and dear to me. I know my colleagues feel very strongly on this subject. I don't know if gentlemen want to add in.
Mr. President?
Sir.
I would just add, as we consider workers' rights and safety, that we remember, you mentioned it, but I want to highlight it, that the labor movement and our unions have been critical in fighting for the 24-hour workday and most of the reforms that we take for granted right now. So we celebrate Labor Day once a year, but really every day of every year, whether you're in a union or not, at a time when workers' rights are under attack and folks are trying to eliminate the right to strike, and we need to remember where the safety measures we have today came from. OSHA didn't happen in a vacuum. It was passed because workers came together, united, and said we need to do better. And so I want to say a big thank you to our unions and the labor movement for working with us and for us to make sure that everyone enjoys a safer workplace.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Commissioner Bregovich.
Yes, I've seen the change of technology in the workplace and the constant training it takes and with always safety in mind. So that's always important. And I can tell you locally, as a mayor, that how roofers now wear harnesses and something as simple and like that, where before they would reject that notion. And a lot of them probably have been saved since then. So our hats are off to continue this road and safety, and we promote it here in Lake County.
Thank you so much.
Well said.
Really
Again,
appreciate it.
Thank you. No, and again, thank you for this opportunity to participate and help raise awareness.
Okay.
Thank you. And we do also have a presentation for you. Thank you. Absolutely. Thank you, sir. You appreciate it. Thank you so much. Yes, sir. Thank you so much. We'll go. It's okay. We'll We'll go zigzagging, how's that? I don't know what's in the middle here, right?
Oh, sorry, let's see there. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
That's okay.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Next item, please.
Do we,
Oh, I'm sorry. You know what? A vote would be really important. Thank you, Commissioner Regovich.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Regovich.
yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes. My apologies, ma'am. Thank you.
In the engineer's office, resolution awarding a bid contract to American Roadway Logistics for the County Roads Pavement Markings 2023 project as required by the Lake County engineer in the amount of $122,966.25.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion?
This is our normal, every year we stripe a certain amount of county roads. This is for the center line striping, the no passing zones, and the sidelines.
There you go.
Mr. President,
Sir.
is it becoming more and more difficult to find someone to do that?
Your microphone, sir?
Didn't go on. There's only 2 or 3 firms that usually bid on this thing, but yeah, this is a new company. Didn't recognize their name, but they kind of come and go.
Yeah, we had a challenge in the cities, and there's years where they would get no bids, and lately it's been, one person manufactures the paint. They were
Well, realistically, for a number of years, we only had one, and then another one popped up. And sometimes you get a stranger, and his work is a little questionable. So it's a very up and down marketplace.
Thank you.
Very good. There's nothing further. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution to advertise for bids for Lake County Road Department Salt 2023 LCE project number 2023-011. Bid opening May 17th, 2023.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion?
This is our annual salt bid. We do bid our own. We do not go with ODOT. So we kind of go in early so we can get a comparison and see how it's going to go for this year.
And the reasoning behind that is it puts us in the best position because of the volume. We also could go with the state if they had a more attractive price.
Well, yeah, more or less. What we do is our contracts usually run through the 1st of June or so with the old contract, and we try to sign up before the 1st of June, the new contract, so that we can compare the two, and whichever one is cheaper, we try to fill up whatever we have and then switch over to the new contract.
There you go. Again, thank you for being a good steward.
Hope you don't need it till 2024.
Come again?
I hope you don't need it until 2024.
Yeah, well, probably no such luck.
Thank you, sir. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
In the Utilities Department, resolution approving plan specifications and estimates of cost in the amount of $911,705 for East 357th Street Waterline Replacement Project number 459W, and advertising for bids for the same, bid opening May 25th, 2023.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution increasing appropriations and transferring cash within Lake County Department of Utilities Sewer Operating Fund and Project Fund 596, Grace Court Sanitary Lining Project 462S 2023.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
And Job and Family Services Department, resolution approving Lake County Department of Job and Family Services vouchers, date of warrant, May 5th, 2023, in the amount of $79,351.11.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
And the Commissioner's Office, resolution authorizing execution of agreements between the Lake County Board of Commissioners and Concord Township for funds received from the U.S. Department of Treasury under the Coronavirus State and Local Fiscal Recovery Funds, known as the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021, for Auburn Road Waterline Project, Stonewick to Ravenna.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? I believe we have Jason Boyd, and we also have some representatives from Concord with us, so if you wish to comment?
Yes, Commissioners, just briefly, then I can turn it over to the township should they wish to speak. Resolution 7 and 8 are two ARPA projects, utility projects that we've been working with Administrator Rose and the township trustees on. First off, I want to thank them for their patience as we've worked through the approval process. The projects before you today, items 7 and 8, as with the other ARPA projects, have been reviewed internally, have been reviewed by outside bond counsel, and agreements are prepared for your consideration today. While I'm here, number 9 is a similar utility project in Madison Township along US Route 20 for sanitary sewer improvements. So everything has been vetted, reviewed, and ready for your approval today. And I'll defer to the townships on additional comments.
Very good. Anything for Jason? No.
Morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Morgan McIntosh with Concord Township as a trustee, but also here as the president of the Lake County Township Association. Just want to take an opportunity to say a few words. First off, thank you for this matching grant. And last year when a lot of this came up, I know we all got inundated with ARPA funds and then requests and priorities and so forth, and it was a lot to juggle. And I certainly noticed early on that the commissioners were getting a lot of requests, and just sitting around one day thinking about things with my administrator, we said, well, why don't we offer to spend some of our money, and then really wanted to make the process efficient and get all of the townships together in sort of one request, so that made your life a little bit easier to look at. You didn't have to say, hey, Concord asked for this, what did Paynesville Township ask for, Matt, and so forth. So we bundle it all together, and I am really pleased with the fact that this is such a cooperative effort. Government and politics is always challenging, and we watch the news every day and see where parties struggle, and you can't go a day without seeing the dysfunction in Washington. And so when we can sit there locally and take care of some needed infrastructure and things like this and work together, where we have the county and townships working together, I know there's other requests that you've received, and you have a lot of work to figure out how you're going to spend your ARPA dollars across the county. So we certainly appreciate you seeing the priority in these projects. And again, and there's a lot of dissension and different opinions about ARPA dollars and whether they should have been created and whatnot. But in my belief, we are the stewards of the tax dollars, and it's incumbent on us to take care of our communities. And so we had this opportunity, good for bad, but it's an opportunity to do things that wouldn't have happened elsewise. So again, I really am proud of the fact that we have different entities cooperating together here, and very proud of that. And I want to thank you for your willingness to work with us on this. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. That being said, there's nothing further? All right. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes. Thank you.
Resolution authorizing execution of agreements between the Lake County Board of Commissioners and Concord Township for funds received from the U.S. Department of Treasury under the Coronavirus State and Local Fiscal Recovery Funds, known as the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021, for Girdled Road West Waterline Project.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? As indicated previously, the same discussion applies to this item as well. All right, there's nothing further. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution authorizing execution of agreements between the Lake County Board of Commissioners and Madison Township for funds received from the U.S. Department of Treasury under the Coronavirus State and Local Fiscal Recovery Funds, known as the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021, for Route 20 sanitary sewer improvement.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? Administrator Brown. Good morning. sir.
Morning, gentlemen. Thank you. As the board's aware, we started this process in July of '22. The township, although we haven't been in front of you formally, is pledging our $1.6 million. It'll be a combination of ARPA funds and some TIF funding that we have along Route 20. It's for a sanitary sewer line that will be installed and hopefully spur some economic development in the area. It will not happen overnight, but this is definitely setting the table for some more business and economic development on our Route 20 corridor. So again, on behalf of the Board of Trustees, thank you very much, and looking forward to the project. The township is also about 2 weeks out from getting our design proposal from Barrington. We're putting the money up front for the design portion of the project, so the county doesn't have to fund that. And I'll field any questions if you have any. Otherwise, we're thrilled to get this done.
Just want to say thank you. Madison Township was, I believe, the first agency or entity to come to us to start talking projects, and you had quite a good proposal from the beginning. And thank you for being so patient working with us through this entire process. Gentlemen, anything you want to add?
Mr. President?
Sir.
I would just say this is yet another incidence of how we're working to grow the pie. We need to have economic development to fund our priorities, and we're grateful for the strong partnership we have with the Townships Association. In particular, I want to thank Administrator Brown, as well as the President of the Townships Association, Trustee Morgan McIntosh. It's been a pleasure working with you on these projects. Water and sewer is not the most exciting thing to talk about in a public meeting, but if there isn't water, it's very hard to bring in larger businesses. So I agree with you. This sets the table for a lot of exciting things to come. People won't realize this is what brought the ribbon cutting, but really it sets the foundation for the big businesses and the major contributors to the local economy in the future. So thank you for being farsighted, and we appreciate partnering with you on this work.
Thanks, Commissioner Reagan.
I wholeheartly agree, and I like to thank the township for bringing in a plan. I came in late into this, as you know, but you did the due diligence, had it ready to go, and I like to fund these legacy projects. Sewers, we're in great need throughout the county. It's different from east to west, but this is something I hope that helps Madison grow, and we continue our growth in business and in housing. So, good job.
Okay. Thank you very much again.
Thank you. All right, if there's nothing further, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution appointing various individuals to the Lake County Homeland Security Advisory Committee for terms effective May 1st, 2023 through April 30th, 2025.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
In the Finance Department, resolution approving payment of bills as listed on the Commissioner's Approval Journal in the amount of $1,510,764.86.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution approving purchase orders as listed on the Commissioner's Purchase Order Approval Journal in the amount of $1,659,414.66.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution increasing appropriations for various general and non-general fund accounts.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution establishing a fund to be known as the County Narcotics Agency, ARPA.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution establishing a fund to be known as the opioid settlement.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Redovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution establishing a fund to be known as the Lake County Domestic Relations ARPA.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Redovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes. Thank you, ma'am. All right, moving on to departmental reports, utilities.
Thank you, Commissioner. I would just respectfully disagree with Commissioner Plechnik. I think it is very exciting to talk about sewer and water projects. Other than that, nothing to report.
You had me worried there, Randy. Commissioner Plechnik, you going to accept that?
I think I will agree with the subject matter expert.
There we go. See, there is hope. All right, we're very good. Thank you, sir. All right, Job and Family Services.
Good morning, Commissioner. Thank you. Today I wanted to share that Ohio Department of Job and Family Services has designated the month of May as Public Assistance Fraud Awareness Month in Ohio, and it's hard to believe that we're almost in the month of May. So I wanted to highlight this today during my departmental report. For those who may not be aware, the public assistance programs that we are talking about today would be Medicaid, SNAP, TANF, cash assistance, and publicly funded child care. And these are programs for individuals and needy families that meet specific eligibility requirements, of course. And those requirements or qualifications are based on income, family size, the number of children in the household. And when we talk about public assistance fraud, we're referring to a person who knowingly makes false statements, withholds information, or fails to report information necessary to determine eligibility for benefits. So the state has provided some funding to local county Department of Job and Family Services to raise awareness on this topic throughout the month of May. So Lake County Job and Family Services is going to have a billboard that will be visible from Route 20 and Route 2 near the Bacon Road exit, which will have this graphic on it, which is up on the screen today. It says fraud costs, please report SNAP and EBT fraud, and then there's a website where individuals should go if they suspect that someone in our community is receiving public assistance fraudulently. And that website is jfs.ohio.gov/fraud. So I appreciate the opportunity this morning to bring this topic to light, and that concludes my report today.
Thank you, ma'am. Anything for Job and Family Services? Thank you. Okay, County Administrator.
Good morning once again. Just brief update on the Lake County Sheriff's Office range project. As most folks know, we are nearing completion of what I'll call phase 1 of the training facility out on Blaze Namath Road. The second phase, which is approximately 40 by 40 facility for tactical training purposes, went out to bid last month. Yesterday we did receive 2 bids for the structure. Those were turned over to Burgess Neiple, the architect, for review. So hopefully we'll have a recommendation in front of the board in the next couple weeks. The phase 1 project is nearing completion. We're waiting on some power supply variables from First Energy and an HVAC unit that's subject to the market and supply chain issues that have kicked it out to July, but we're working on some alternate solutions so we can get that building stood up in the near term, as I believe Detective Bell already has numerous agencies interested in using the facility. So good news on the bid openings. As of 10:45 yesterday, we didn't have any, and at 10:59 we had 2 come in, so that was good to see. So that's all I have, unless you have any questions.
All right, very good. Thank you, sir. All right, moving on. Madam Clerk.
Yes, the next commissioners meeting is scheduled for Thursday, May 4th at 10 a.m.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, legal.
No reports, Commissioner.
Thank you, sir. County Engineer.
Yes, we did not have the same kind of luck that the sheriff did. We recently bid a bridge that had no bidders. We contacted the one contractor that was looking at it and asked him if he could give us an insight on what the problem is and why he didn't bid. His answer was not enough money. He said you need a minimum of 50% more than you have in your estimate, which has been pretty common on bridges particularly, but on a lot of other things also out of our department. And not only us, but all the county engineers around the state are complaining about the same thing. We did, however, go back to the County Engineers Association, which gave us the federal funding for this, which is an 80-20, and we were able to secure another $125,000 out of turnback money. This project will now, well, the first thing that's going to happen is you'll receive next week an agreement, and a revised agreement from the state for these federal funds, and then right after that, we will probably put it back out on the street for bids. Hopefully this time we'll get something.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Gentlemen, anything else for the engineer? Thank you, sir. All right. That brings us to old business. Do we have any old business to come before the board? Any old business? All right. Moving on to new business. Do we have any new business? I've got a couple of updates. I was down in Columbus on Tuesday for the Ohio Statewide Interoperability Executive Committee board meeting. It was a lot of technical stuff, focusing heavily on our first responders, big on public safety, obviously. A lot of updates that are technical in nature, but some of the things that I think are relevant to discuss here. One of the topics that they're going to be doing is a outreach and training on interoperability business case and introduction to ongoing local funding. Lake County is very fortunate to have our own telecommunications department. That telecommunications department historically has been overwhelmingly self-funding. They've been based off of fees. They really have not been a drain or burden on the general fund. But the day is coming that the demands on that department, with all of the technology that is hitting our dispatch centers, our communications in general, our data systems, they're going to need funding. So I just want this to be a transmitting in the clear, gentlemen. This is coming. Our telecom department is going to be having an awful lot of unfunded things dropped in their lap. One of the other discussions that they said, and I'm going to kind of quote this one, regarding the solar eclipse coming up on April 8th, 2024. The quote was, "Cost to the counties, get ready. This is not going to be cheap." We are in a very good position here in Lake County. We've got a lot of cohesiveness amongst our public safety forces, our first responders. Leadership, I believe, is taking this seriously. I know that our EMA Director, Joe Busher, is taking the lead on this and coordinating with our other agencies, but there's going to be some costs, and it's going to be more than just slick marketing. It's going to be, how do you get people in and out of the county? How do you have them have a great experience here and keep things safe and functioning? I also delivered the Zone 2 report. I'll give you a couple of the highlights. One of the things that we're doing here in Lake County is we are reviewing our voice and our IP recording as much as possible. We are looking at, in the future, and not too distant future, having to replace our recording systems. That is going to be a cost for our central dispatch. Let's see, this was one that was kind of nice here, and we actually got some accolades for this one. The Lake County Commissioners recently signed an agreement with the City of Mentor for future collaboration and joint grant applications for dispatch infrastructure. We're a bit ahead of the curve there. Again, our first responders typically have a long-standing history of working collectively and cohesively. Electeds, not so much. The fact that we actually formalized an agreement with the City of Mentor, that's a good thing. That's not happening in other parts of the state. So we do, even in challenged times, find ways to work together. Lake County is also pursuing a significant upgrade for our fire station alerting involving 14 fire stations. This upgrade will include AU2, which is an automatic upgrade every 2 years, which also tracks with the MARCS radio system. That's a statewide radio system which is already using the AU2 standard. Again, this is going to be a cost. We have several, especially on our east side, departments that are relying on this technology for station alerting. For those who may not know what station alerting is, when a call comes in, That's what tells the crews there's a call coming in. It basically gets the station up and running and automates a number of the activities, such as turning on lights, activating air evacuation systems, and getting the crew pretty much in a good state to go do their jobs. But that costs money. We need to be ready for that. One of the problems we've been plagued with is the updates for the system that's currently in place have not taken place. Not sure why, but I believe it had to do with nobody was in line to pay for it. The original acquisition came from a grant, and there was no funding for the installation. The telecommunications department took that upon themselves years ago, did the installs in a good faith effort, but the maintenance, there was no funding stream for that, so we do need to plan for station alerting. Again, it's a public safety issue, and there's enough stress on our first responders. And finally, we are optimistic about state funding for encryption for 1,600 police and fire radios. The direct funding did not occur in the most recent activities down in Columbus. There was a significant pushback on the encryption, pretty much on anything communications related. There are some side activities that are, hopefully there's going to be sort of a global communications funding stream, but that seems to be focusing mostly on Marks radios and the subscription fees associated with that. Lake County, although we are a prime site and major component in the Marks system, and our communications will roll over onto that system, and that system will roll over onto ours. We are maintaining a separate identity, but the encryption, interesting enough, there's a couple of legislators who believes that if public dollars are going to the radio system, the system should be broadcasting in the clear so people can hear everything that's going on. I couldn't disagree more, but that's a debate or discussion for another day. Continuing, this was a rather long meeting, but there's a lot of really good things. New Palestine, there was a lot of discussion associated with that, the response. Again, that fire department was a volunteer department, but one of the major stressors had to do with infrastructure, being able to get assets into the area. A lot of, and I'm sure our engineer can comment on this, when you've got bridges and culverts that aren't capable of carrying the weight of fire apparatus, you can't exactly drive a truck over it. So there was a number of concerns associated with that. The state did take some pride, though. They were able to stand up emergency communications. I believe it was 200 radios were up within hours, so that there was interoperability among agencies as others were responding. There is a big push in the state for aviation communication standards, the operating procedures for that. There's a lot of confusion as to how that goes. I can assure you I will not be participating in any helicopter testing. That never ends well. So there's a backstory to that, ladies and gentlemen, but that's for another day. Let's see, there's another one. We're talking about cybersecurity, and our systems are becoming far more reliant on technologies, although we're getting a lot of calls from the federal government, demands of higher cybersecurity. They are only in the grant planning phase. They have no money associated with any of the stuff that they're talking about. And one of the big issues is backup communications. Well, we have a lot of redundancies in our own fleet here, so that's good. And one of the things I think they're going to need to kind of work on is they've got these, field operating guides, or FOGs. Like, really, guys, you couldn't come up with a better term. But yeah. And we're also moving in the direction of the Protect 911 Act. That's a federal initiative. Thank goodness Ohio is, with our next generation 911, we're a bit ahead of the curve, and Lake County is positioned to do a good thing, but it's still another one of those unfunded mandates coming our way. And let's see, again, we're looking at some, this is actually kind of surprising, the tactical interoperability coordination plans. Apparently, depending upon where you go in the state, they're not on the same page in the same book. So there's a real initiative to harmonize, because again, the stressors that our public safety forces are working when you kind of cross that boundary line, which again, going back to the Palestine derailment, so close to the Pennsylvania border, there was a lot of interaction between the two states and no ability to communicate. Their practices and protocols were wildly different. and the departments that were responding from within Ohio to that location were not all on the same page. So these are all things that are very relevant and need to be addressed. And on the subject of our first responders, it was mentioned these are the people that are on the front lines. And one of the things that really struck me was access to service, timeliness. And these are stressors that are very persistent and very real. They apply to law enforcement, fire, EMS, our EMA staff, all those. These are the kinds of things that if they can't get to the public, that those are just the things that really weigh heavy. So when they don't have the roads, the bridges, it just doesn't quite get it done. Let's see. There are some growing issues here in the state of tower site intrusions. This is a growing issue, and it's ranging everything from vandalism to scrap metal people trying to scrounge around and looking for copper and other metals that can be sold. And one of the big things, again, that they emphasize, they actually circle back is, again, station alerting. You know, when you've got public safety forces that are not being properly activated, it does cause a problem. So I know that was a very long update, but anything on that, gentlemen? Okay, and the other item I have, push these away. The other day, going through our list of the certificates that we all like to support and try to recognize people, I ran across this one in light of the report I just gave. I believe is timely. And I feel strongly that I have to say, in my heart of hearts, I have to ask the question, is our inaction contributing to more than the challenges associated with the effectiveness and efficiency of our first responders? I have to ask the question, in our inability to come together as a board, are we contributing to the health and welfare challenges of our first responders? We've all signed, and I believe we all support the certificate that recognizes the health and welfare challenges of our first responders. And if I can refer to it, it's a certificate of recognition. It's dated April 27, 2023, supporting the Lake County first responders. And I think the second whereas is the most important part to read. Whereas even when first responders are stretched thin, their courage and commitment to service never wavers, as they remain alert and on call. The job also brings a unique set of stressors to first responders that can create mental health challenges for them and their families. On behalf of the citizens of Lake County and all surrounding communities, we stand together to support the mental health of our invaluable first responders. Gentlemen, now is the time for action, not just a signature on a piece of paper. The time is now to put the people's money that we have been entrusted with where our mouths are. We say we support first responders. Let us rededicate ourselves to truly supporting our first responders with deeds and not just words of acknowledgement. We must accept our responsibility to the community and our first responders. This certificate is just a hollow gesture without real support. To the extent we can make a positive difference, we as a board need to caution ourselves not to diminish the value of our first responders by offering words, no matter how candid, on a piece of paper without action. We as a board need to serve and protect those who serve and protect. We as a board have a statutory responsibility and the financial ability to provide the infrastructure our first responders need to serve and protect the people of Lake County. We need to act now on the very roads and bridges our first responders rely upon. With that said, is there any other new business to come before this board? Any other new business?
Mr. President,
Sir.
I think apropos to your comments, the Board of Elections would tell us that there is a primary election in March and a general election in November. And it's very clear from this meeting that those elections are coming. But I don't believe in politicizing our first responders. I believe in supporting them. That is all.
So you'll be supporting fixing the roads and bridges that they're relying on?
I support our county engineer taking immediate action, even if it requires him to make difficult budgetary decisions. Yes, I do.
And the rhetoric continues. So, there's no other new business? Moving on to our second public comment portion. Is anyone, Mr. Massey? Sorry, ma'am, I saw him first. No, go ahead. No, Mr. Massey, please.
Brian Massey, 8196 Rainbow Drive, Concord Township. I have 2 items for the commissioners today. Unfortunately, I have probably been providing some misinformation in the community about the jail, and I'd like to have that clarified once and for all. I was under the impression that when we were looking at a $140 or $150 million to $170 million jail, that was because of a state mandate that the state says instead of the incarceration model that we were going to go into a rehabilitation model, which required more space, more people in the form of mental health, psychologists, psychiatrists. But I've come to realize that rehabilitation model is not a state mandate. So are we as citizens to understand that the $170 million price tag is for a public safety center that will provide 504 beds, as they say, but jail cells, and it will house the Sheriff's Department, the patrol, and will also house the some of the court system, whether it's the Corrections Board and that sort of thing. And it will not, the $170 million will not cover any rehabilitation. It'll just be an incarceration model. Can you just clarify that for me? Because I'm thinking that we would have to build a much larger facility if it is a rehabilitation model, which would require more space, more offices, more meeting rooms, and that sort of thing. So I'm trying to get a handle on what are we really getting for the $170 million.
We have Captain Nizzo in the audience, so sir, if I say anything that's not accurate, please chime in. The most recent review that was top-down and what's called programming, which is you look at what are the needs and what are the spaces to satisfy those needs, was all in. It was all subjects, top to bottom, everything from custodial to incarceration to rehabilitation, all of those elements were accounted for. Flex space, which I realize is a very watered down version of saying we are future proofing, areas that could be adapted for future needs, has been accounted for, but it's an all in. There's nothing that was excluded. Did I say that reasonably accurately, sir? Thank you, sir.
So this is not just, we're not just meeting the state minimum requirements, we are building a much larger or grander, facility to, in effect, try to eliminate or minimize the recidivism rate of the offenders. Is that correct?
I have to take exception to your reference to much larger and grander.
Mm-hmm.
There is nothing excessive in size. There is nothing grandiose in nature. And I don't think I'm exaggerating when I say the current facility is what put us in this mess, because it was built to state minimum standards. And we are dealing with that just these 30-some years later, 35 years later. It has been a burden. It was obsolete the day we took possession of it. But it was, and I think former Administrator Gaunter commented on this at a previous meeting, He was here,
Yeah.
as was I. It was literally built on the cheap to the most minimum standards possible by a contractor that probably should have never been chosen.
Yeah.
I'll just add that editorial comment. There's nothing grand, there's nothing excessive in what has been proposed.
Thank you. I appreciate you clarifying that for us, Commissioner Hamercheck. Again, I don't want to provide misinformation out there into the community.
Mr. President,
The-
it's just as an example, Mr. Massey, right now, we have a small area just for medical facilities. And I think Chief Izzo, we have trouble hiring nurses there. We don't have a proper facility right now, but by law, we have to take care of those inmates medically, whether that's taking them to the hospital or in-house. So things like that, we need to look for the future. And the state constantly changes their requirements. I can tell you on the local level, our jails were rated as multi-day jails when they were built. Now they're probably hour jails. You're only going to stay there for so many hours because of the number of square feet inside of the jail. So those things are always changing and they're always moving that goal line. So as Commissioner Hamercheck said, we're not building a grand, but we have to make good use of that space in order to provide what we need to provide for the current inmates that we have.
Yes, I was fortunate enough to get a tour of the jail, and I concur 100%.
That's fortunate.
Well, I did see for myself, and there's no question that the medical facilities are totally inadequate, and I know that is a state requirement, and I was quite surprised of how they're able to really perform in. Some of them are basically closets that they're working in, so I would concur with that.
When I believe when that jail was built in 1989 or when it opened, the mental health facility was, do you want a padded cell or not? And that's totally different now when we know a great number of the people that go through that jail are either mental health or drug-related problems.
I concur. Thank you very much, Commissioner. The second item, yes,
If
sir.
I could just add, not only though we're using closet space as office space, I'm sure on your tour you saw we're also using hallways.
Correct.
So I just want to be abundantly clear.
It's not only in the medical, but it's in the laundry and, the home, and providing the meals. It's amazing that they're able to, let's say, function. Like I said, the only thing worth saving are the personnel in there, so I would
It's a
concur.
testament to the personnel working in there that we owe a great thanks to. But sorry, I just
Yeah, it really was, again, not to belabor it, but the place is immaculate, and so that is probably Captain Brooks's, give kudos to her for that. The second item that I have is just an FYI for the commissioners. I will be spearheading a grassroots effort to ensure that our public schools are following the Ohio Revised Code, Section 2907.321, pandering obscenity to minors. If any of the commissioners would like a personal discussion with me as far as what I will be planning to do, I offer that to all of you, and even to our commissioner and to prosecutor's office. This is of all of the items that I've worked on over the years, this is probably one that impacts me most. It's a line in the sand for me. It's something that I'm not backing off of, and you will see what is available in the schools for our children is totally inappropriate. I want to make sure that our school boards are protecting the children of our community. Nothing could be more important to me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Yeah.
Lori Bobin, Madison Township. Gentlemen, I'm here before you again to express the safety concerns for myself, my neighbors, and all who are affected by the South Madison and Leroy area road closures. I was told last week by one of the commissioners that I was banging on the wrong table with my concerns, but I don't believe I am. I attend my local township meetings. These are not township roads. Ford and Payne roads are county roads. And as such, county roads shall be maintained by the Board of County Commissioners. It's your responsibility. As I stated 2 weeks ago, we are not asking for everything to be fixed all at once. But before the situation becomes any more dire, with the pending closing of Blair, please continue to make plans to start on something so that we have an alternate route open as soon as possible. I listened to Mr. Gills on his April 18th workshop meeting, and his report that Payne, Ford, and Williams were of equal priority, and the decision was yours. So perhaps you gentlemen would find it helpful consulting the emergency responders for our area so that they have input on which roads would be the most helpful to expedite their assistance in an emergency for the majority of the residents in that location. Just a suggestion. And Mr. Gills, please correct me if I misspeak, but I believe you said at the April 18th workshop that Payne Road is now in its final design plan and would be construction ready this fall? Is that?
That is correct.
Okay. And Ford is now getting a preliminary design report and would be possibly ready for construction late fall of this year?
That is correct.
Okay. And the Army Corps of Engineer, I guess they have to be involved because it's over a water. Are they pretty attentive of a quick response when you consult them on something? Or is that going to be an extra weight? Or
No, but we usually work on permits as soon as we get a preliminary design.
Okay.
They don't require detailed design or anything like that, so then we fill out all the paperwork and we get started, because it does take them a while. They're very slow to respond. So we hope all this comes together about the same time.
Okay, okay.
And if not, we have political clout in Ohio that I can call on and have called on in the past to get it done.
Well, that's reassuring. Thank you. And last, I just want to say, I'm so very grateful that this now seems to continue to move forward. And I would just ask the commissioners to please continue to consider the very urgent public safety concerns and to keep this in the forefront when you're discussing your budget, please, for everyone affected in this area. Thank you.
Thank you. Engineer Gills, question, I think this is probably relevant. Given the continued deterioration, the sloughing, the pavement separations on Williams Road, do you think that's going to last another year or two?
No, actually, when school's over with, I'm closing the road. It's continuing to separate. It's getting bad. It's got longer. The plans for that particular project are in their absolute final stage. We will be ready to bid that project as early as July, but we have no money.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wishing to address this board? Mr. Music.
John Music, 45 Coventry Drive. I was going to mention, I mentioned at last meeting about Center Park Estates flooding. And then I'm sure you all know there's a rehab center right there with people who cannot move that floods. And I'm sure you've known that. Jim knows the parking lot was actually built to be a retention center. Trust me, the flooding has gone beyond that. How would you like the rescue squad to come in and couldn't get in the drive because of the flooding? No one talks about this. I hear this and this and this. 17 years and nothing's been done. Nothing. And I talked about it, and everybody says this. Well, try 17 years for it and just see how long. Just like I would go to my township meetings, and the trustees said that we had to build another fire station. We have 3 fire stations in Painesville Township because of the railroad tracks, because you may not be able to get to a fire. Maybe we need more fire departments in locations. I know what Concord, I believe, has 2. And the thing about it is, due to various restrictions, may it be railroads or whatever, and we have a lot of railroads in the township. And so they built 3 fire stations so they could get, because I believe the response time, it may be in some way, I don't know how that's regulated, but the thing about it is, I'm just saying, there are a lot of things going on in this county that nobody else wants to talk to. Just like I hear this mention, that mention about this. 17 years I've been working on this, still isn't done. I know you 2 are fairly new, but it's just like the jail. In my opinion, that jail should have been done years ago. And just like Jim had mentioned earlier, he couldn't even get bids. Do you imagine what this jail would have cost 10 years ago versus today? And the thing about it is, I think, in my opinion, there were people that dropped the ball. This should have been done a long time ago. So I just want to give my opinion. And like I said, we got a great engineer, but he can only do so much, just like Randy. If I can get the equipment, if I can get this, if I can get bids, if I can get people to work. If you listen to the financial reports, and I listen to about 6 a day, I record them in my leisure, and just look at the big picture that's going on. You can say this, oh, the economy's great, this and this. Last time I looked, Lake County is part of the United States. Let's be realist. You know, I'm an optimist, but I'm also a realist. So the thing about it is, I'm just saying we have a lot of catastrophic events could have happened. Just like I remember Y2K. Remember Y2K? I was management. I worked all night and I had a crew on. And we didn't get one call. It was like, and the thing about it is, and I checked throughout the country because you know my company actually was international. I mean, checked other countries. They didn't have any problems. And the worst scenario, if you had a problem, all you went in there is change the date, and that's all you would do. But the thing about it is, it's just like, I think we need better planning, and the thing about it is, I know like Jim, he does everything he possibly can do. And to do any type of construction right now, it is not going to be reasonable if you can get the bodies even to do it, and the companies to do it. So I just wanted to make that mention. Things are tough right now, and just like, hey, just like was mentioned earlier, Washington, D.C., just look and get the big picture of what's going on. Priorities have changed in this country, sadly, in my opinion. And like I said, Lake County is part of the United States. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Music. And I appreciate your giving my relatively new colleagues a pass, so I'll take up this challenge directly. I'm disappointed that you didn't comment that we are in active negotiations and supporting the Painesville Township trustees with land acquisition. Clearly, you know that I'm not allowed to talk about land acquisition because we don't want to influence the prices of acquiring that land, but you put me in a position where I have no choice but to defend myself. You're not being completely candid, sir. We are trying, please come on up and challenge this, but the bottom line is we are taking affirmative action. There's a piece of property that has only recently become available for acquisition. I can't create land. God was the only one who made it. I don't have the power to do that.
You know, I have heard from 3 sources beside you, no, that is not truly the case about this proposal because this person doesn't want to do this, the owner, blah, blah, so forth and so forth. You know, this is like you said, you're frustrated. Talk about the people that live it. And the thing about it is, I have heard so many proposals, and you can ask Mr. Gills, how many proposals have been over the year that we tried to do this, try to do that, like I said, we got the federal government, the state government, the county government, the township government, and also the owners of the property involved. Try to satisfy with 5 people, 5 different agencies. And I disagree. You know how many times I've been told, oh, don't worry, oh, the county's going to buy this, or this is going to happen, or that's going to happen, or this is going to... I hear that all the time, for years. Not just recently, years. And we were going to do this, and we couldn't get underneath the body shop. And the property owner down here wouldn't give us permission and go do this. You wouldn't believe what I've heard. And I've done my studying on this. So I do know what I'm talking about. I live it. And the thing about it is I have heard from various sources, higher up than you, about what's going on. So I think a lot of it is in point in time, who hears what when, and actually when Ashley gets into what's the last thing that's spoken there? Who knows? All I know, we still have the problem. And I know Jim and Tim Miller, they're working on it. They've been working on it. But like you said, sometimes the property owners won't agree. I went to school with one property owner, and I talked to him and his wife about it. And what he was told being involved in it versus what I heard, let's just say it didn't agree. So we'll just go with that. I have a lot to say about that. So anyhow, all I know is Mr. Gills and Mr. Miller have been trying for a long time. It's not an easy project, and you talk about how much money it would cost. Be very expensive probably. So I just wanted to come back as you were coming back at me, and I'll just say to you, everybody has an opinion, and I want to give you my opinion. Like I say, I do know what I'm talking about, trust me.
Fair, and I'm not trying to have a debate with you, but I do not recall, and if I did, I regret saying it, but I do not believe I said, don't worry. I don't believe those words ever crossed my lips. And as you know, I take a very holistic approach to my job. I try to take a look at everything comprehensively. Tim Miller is working very closely with our Paynesville Township trustees. This board is working very closely with the Paynesville Township trustees. Jason, I believe you have something to add, though. In fairness, I think you need to hear the facts. I don't know who the higher up is that you're talking to, but that's the information that this board has available to us.
What I'm saying is the federal government and the state governments, because they are involved. Just like, for instance, on 20, when I heard, oh, don't worry, Fairgrounds Road will fix this when we redid Fairgrounds. And then we said, oh, when we redid Route 20, it would take care of. Actually, the problems have gotten worse instead of better. And that's what I am, I call DC on this, and like I said, this is how you hear things. And like I said, when you keep hearing different answers, it gets very frustrating. If everybody would say, well, this is where we sit. If everybody would say the same answers, I'd say, I agree with it then. But when I hear different things, this level tells me this level tells me that, it gets very frustrating.
Understood. And I just want to emphasize, I trust Tim Miller. When he
I'm not saying I don't trust him. I don't say I don't trust him. I'm just saying I hear it at different levels. I say, okay, Center Park Estates, blah, 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 and so forth and so forth. Like I said, I even talked to the property owners involved. I talked to them because I walked through there. Talked with the director at that rehab center over there, and he says, well, what are they going to do? I talked to the eye place right there. Well, what are they going to do with this? And I walk around the back, and I talk. People over there have water in their heat ducts. Well, that's okay. That's not a health concern. I talked to one gentleman had to put a sump pump in his backyard just to get it away from his house. And he has a slab house. So this is what goes on. But no, the only way I can do is stand up here and give you my opinion of what I've been told by various sources. True or not, we don't know unless you're there. Unless you're, like we always say, subject matter expert. So.
Thank you. Jason, I believe you have something to add?
Yeah, just briefly, and I understand Mr. Music's concerns and aggravation. There is a meeting coming up I'm not able to attend that the township is hosting on said project. There has been discussions, as the commissioner alluded to, about some properties. I'm not sure, where that will end up. But Tim Miller will be attending on my behalf. I believe it may even be today or tomorrow. I know it's just another meeting, and you've heard of bunches of meetings over the years. But We're very attentive to it. It is a very dynamic project in a built-out environment that is flat and not a lot of waterways, et cetera. It's an engineering challenge, but there is a meeting on the books immediately to, I think, look at some alternative sites as well. So I just wanted to let that known that the conversation, and I know that's not the great answer, but I've asked Tim to attend this meeting on my behalf. He'll be reporting back to me early next week, and I'm sure if solutions start to come to fore, Engineer Gills will be involved, et cetera. So,
Thank you, sir.
thank you.
Okay, anyone else wishing to address the board? Oh, yes, sir. Welcome back, we missed you.
I just want to, John, I just want to let you know why the federal government.
Is your microphone off, sir?
No. You turn it off.
Okay, just FYI, the federal government, you know how many people I've seen back there surveying and all this stuff? You wouldn't believe. And I've walked the whole length, because actually, old Jim knows, it comes down along the chute in the fair, and it's the Lake County Fairgrounds have given us a lot of water we can't handle. And the thing about it is, it comes down, I've seen so many people, and I've talked to them there, the surveyors, the people that are out there, that's what I'm saying, I know a lot. And the thing about it is, it's like that ditch, and that was a ditch I used to play in there, has now been identified as a stream. When they put in Route 20, the storm sewers are down or at a different level now and so forth than the road and all this stuff, and they'd have to go under it and all this stuff, and these are the things you don't hear, and there's a lot involved. And just like I said, the property owner down the road, and like I said, I knew him well. He passed away, him and his wife, but beside the point, and I've talked to him. But this sad thing about it is, you still have all these property owners. And like I said, over in 17 years, I've heard so many, oh, we're almost there, and then something pops up. 17 years later, we're still here, and I'm not saying they haven't worked on it, but just like they had the Menor Roto-Rooter truck come out there once, and because of roots helped it, but it didn't cure the problem. But I'm just saying, it's getting worse. We got that how would you like to have a rescue squad come into that rehab center, and the people are out there in their boots trying, so far the rehab center has not flooded, but the driveway, the people park across the street in the bowling alley because they just can't get to their cars when it floods. And then the rescue squad comes in, or the fire department, or the sheriff's department would come in there. I'm just saying, people don't realize what actually goes there till you live in it. So I just want to give you my opinion of what I thought. I do know a lot about it because I see it every day.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else wishing to address the board? Anyone else at all? Sir?
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Chris Weiss from Leroy Township. Last night, my 11-year-old 6th grader came to me, and he wanted some advice. He says, Dad, you know how to solve all these problems. I got a problem. Can you help me? And I'm thinking to myself, okay, reminding you, he's 11. He's not a teenager yet. My 15 and 16-year-olds have figured out how much I don't know, and they never cease to tell me that. But anyway, his problem was with a young lady, and he wanted my advice on how to tell her why she should be his girlfriend. And I was thinking about this, and I'm like, oh boy, this is kind of a loaded question. I'm twice divorced, 57 years old. How do I give him advice that's not jaded by my life experience? So I thought back to when I was a young man and my 20s, approaching a young woman I met somewhere and trying to make some headway, and the girl just said, stop talking. Don't tell me what you're going to do. Show me. And I think that now is a good time for us to once again ask you 3 commissioners, show us. Show us what you're going to do. We've heard the talk. We've heard the numbers. It's time for you to show us what you're going to do with your actions. Show us that your knowledge, that your wisdom surpasses your actual knowledge. and speak plainly when you interact with each other. I don't think that making veiled threats amongst each other rises to the level of intellect that you all possess, and I think it demeans you when you do that. So once again, I ask that you show us by taking the action that the community has asked of you. Thank you very much. Bye.
Thanks. Anyone else wishing to address the board? Ma'am.
Tammy Gaber, Ford Road, Madison, Ohio. I was going to say something, I wasn't going to say something, I was going to say something. And the bottom line of what I was going to say is I'm tired of pass the buck. We know Mr. Gills does not have the money. We understand that. We are not asking, and nobody has come up here and asked to raise taxes. Nobody has come up here and denied that you need a new jail and safety facility. But we have come up here and said, this is a dangerous situation. And it's not just the people that live on the road. This is an inconvenience. Safety officers have walked up here and begged and pleaded and said, we need this fixed. And you're talking about liabilities with the jail? You got a liability out there. That is a liability. If somebody comes along, gets hurt in one of those metro parks, or I'm not kidding, my husband or somebody on my property gets hurt and I can't get safety response, you got a liability because you have been told. And it's the commissioner's, yes, he is the budget man. It's the commissioner's job to manage the county and run the county, and you have the ultimate responsibility. You get advice from all these people. That's why you're there. You're the guys. You get the advice, you get the information. You've been given the information. You've been provided the details. It is now time to get off your butts and sit down together and figure out how to fix this. Not just feed us a bunch of crap. It's his responsibility. It's his responsibility. If there was a water main break tomorrow and thousands of gallons were pumping, sorry Randy, you're not here, thousands of gallons were pumping down the street, you'd figure out how to fix it because the town would be flooded. You've got a water main break on Ford Road, Payne Road, now Williams Road, one coming to Blair Road. Get together and figure it out and fix it and stop passing the buck. We have enough of that in Washington. You guys need to get together.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else wishing to address the board? Anyone else at all? All right, very good. And with the conclusion of our second public comment portion, I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
Move to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes, thank you. This meeting stands adjourned. Thank you for joining us today.